Hey y'all, it's Red, your favorite non-binary creative life coach, here with a topic that you never expected me to talk about, right? BTS! What? Of course. Those that know me are not surprised that I have gotten into this fandom. Um, and I'm going to talk about how each and every one, well, more like 6 out of 7 of the Bangtan boys are inspiring to me specifically through a creative lens. And I literally just wrote pages about this just now and didn't memorize any of it, and I just wanted to share it. So here we go. So the first member that I'm going to talk about being inspiring to me specifically is Namjoon, aka RM, Rap Monster, aka Real Me. So first of all, he's got over 160 songs that he's credited as a singer and songwriter. Songwriter and composer. Of course, he does the rapping, and it shows. Even if you don't know Korean, the translations are beautiful. They're full of self-reflection, hope, and nature imagery. He's a master of metaphor, which I kind of swoon for, because I went to an art school for 7 years that was just like, make metaphors, make metaphors, make metaphors. So whenever I read Namjoon's lyrics, I'm just like, that's so nice. It's just a little good little heartbeat in there. So lately, as I write, I've been trying to kind of think about the imagery that he uses that I've heard in his songs, nature, such as spring flowers blooming or a scent having a color. He talks about a flower having a blue scent at some point, I think. And then I come up with my own sort of mirrored imagery with its own message. And so this message that I share may be similar to something RM wrote, such as the simple, things are hard, but keep going. It's not exactly, that message isn't exactly creatively licensed, so it's fine. Or I might take an image that I used and then take it in the opposite direction, where the objects in my imagery are dying, having a bad time, having a hard time, and then I keep moving on from there in my whatever I'm writing, poem, song, rap, whatever. And then this idea of imagery and difficult times and things dying moves me into the next BTS member, one of my favorites, is Yoongi, aka Suga, aka August D. He's the second rapper. RM is the first rapper, and he's kind of the daddy of the group. And then there's number 2, Suga, also a rapper, but he's a little more intense. Suga has gone through some shit, okay? Most of the army knows, because BTS as a whole are honest when it comes to their struggles. And Suga specifically has struggled with depression, OCD, and sociophobia. And I read somewhere that I think he'd been to a psych ward for it, and Be Still My Little Heart, me and Yoongi have something in common. Insert twinkle sounds here. So I'm especially compelled by Suga because of his forays into the dark side. RM touches on difficulty in his own lyrics, whereas Yoongi kind of dives into it. He kind of lives in the darkness, and at least in his music, most of his music. He acknowledges that for some people, depression never fully goes away. And if you watch any of the casual BTS content, you'll see he's a little more reserved than most of the other members. And even in official music videos, you can see that he's doing less extreme dance solos. even in his featured verses. He's mostly just like standing there with like dramatic things going on in the background, or fire and darkness, and he's just standing there like, yeah, shit's hard. So while I don't want Suga to be sad forever, or angry or scared, I do appreciate his willingness to go there in his lyrics. They're not all sad. Of course, he's, grateful and hopeful sometimes. I just feel that his way of acknowledging difficulty and his unique voice, his unique rap voice, are really, they offer an incredible depth to the band. I also am really inspired by how different in the different ways that he uses his voice in his actual rapping. Sometimes it's very casual and conversational, but sometimes he goes up high and he does this like screeching sort of thing. And I just so admire people who can go confidently from one to the other. I think it's very, very cool. Number 3 is the third rapper in the group, J-Hope, also known as Jung Ho-suk, but mostly known as J-Hope. Your hope, my hope, everybody's hope, J-Hope. So when I was first introduced to BTS, like 2 weeks ago, he was the first one I looked at. His smile is so wide and bright, and I couldn't imagine a smile that big could be forced so often. So I saw him as very genuine right off the bat. He seems to be one of the members of the group that really lives in tandem with his inner child, while also working on what it takes to become a mature human. He raps about both chicken noodle soup and how it's worth it to stay alive in this world. One day I was just listening to the list of BTS songs on Spotify and just chilling, and then Chicken Noodle Soup comes on, and I was just like destroyed. I was like, J-Hope, what are you doing? Anyway, you can also just listen to his rap voice also. I don't know all the terms, but like Suga, it can be kind of high and sort of like a screech, but with J-Hope, unlike Suga, J-Hope's higher rapping voice is very friendly somehow. I don't know all the terms that can communicate that correctly, but it's a good feeling. It's like, yes, J-Hope, scream at me about how great it is to live and how delicious food is. So, to move on to the next member is Jungkook. So far, I haven't really connected to how Jungkook is inspiring me specifically, like in actionable terms. He seems like the most really reserved member of the group, but I also haven't watched much content specific to him. He seems reserved to me because while Suga is clearly sort of standoffish, at least Suga raps and communicates about his inner shit. But Jungkook is just kind of, he doesn't have that specific outlet. While you can tell that often he gets Jung shook, and it's a great time to watch that happen, he doesn't necessarily communicate his feelings that often, at least from what I've taken in so far. However, I would like to say that I think that he does have the most powerful, clear voice and high notes in the group. He has incredible stamina with this voice, and he can belt it out anywhere, seated, swinging from a rope 100 feet in the sky, and make it look easy, or at least you can tell it seems easy for him. So, number 5 is Kim Taeyong, aka V. V's character to me is the most straightforwardly sweet of them all. It's like a calm sweet. There are other members that they're all obviously sweet, but like his is more calming, more grounded. He sometimes seems gullible or naive, such as when Jimin tricked him into thinking he had found a 4-leaf clover. But I like that about him. So when it matters, Taeyong can also access inner wisdom and express it in such accessible, simple terms, such as when he was vlogging about the dumpling incident, also with Jimin. And lots of people really appreciate how Taeyong used the phrase "I purple you," and if you want to look up what that means, that's fine. It's very sweet. Gotta stop using that word. But he just came up with it out of the top of his head, and everybody was surprised and flabbergasted and impressed. So to me, Taeyong is extremely genuine, and he can also show his more adult side when he wants to. But showing his adult side sort of seems like play for him. If you want to see this happen, just watch the first, 30 seconds of the Boy With Love music video. He does this little, lip licking thing, and it just blows my mind. You can tell that V recognizes and basks in the beauty of everyday miracles. Number 6 is Kim Suk-jin, or Jin. Every man in this group is remarkable. That said, for a while, I considered Jin the least. I couldn't recognize him for days. But then, in an interview or something, I heard him say that he takes much longer to learn choreography than the others, and that he has to start days earlier practicing the choreography. And I began to really see him and recognize him because I could connect to him really well. He can be found talking about how important it is to take things slow and be kind and accommodating to himself because of that. Like I said, I can't say enough about how much I relate to this. It feels like everything that I've ever done, often, I've taken a lot more time to learn than anyone else. And this goes from anywhere from drawing to math, chemistry, even social niceties. Lots of things are very difficult for me, and whenever I've taken a class for something, I was never the one that just picked up, ever. I always felt behind, even for extremely basic things. No matter how much passion I have, I often feel like I'm failing. And hopefully Jin doesn't feel like he's failing, but it helps to know someone in such a beloved group has his own experience with being a slower learner. He is fervently devoted to pulling his weight in the group. To see this, just watch his performance at the Tiny Desk concert and how into the whoas in Dynamite he gets into. He's very, very into it. And the group seems to also acknowledge Jin's power on taking things slower and sitting back and seeing the story of things play out. You can see this in their music video for Blood, Sweat, and Tears, as well as in some 10-minute animated story that I watched where he walks through scenes from BTS's past. I don't remember the name of it, and I looked for it, and I couldn't find it. It's a mystery, but it's there. But he was the one to that they used to kind of spiritually move through difficulties and good times in the past and see what they've gotten through. And number 7, Park Jimin. Okay, let's just say this man is everything. Okay? For me, he's inspirational for his power, focus, clarity, playfulness, and infectious laughter, especially when he doubles over in joy. There are videos of where he's just laughing and then he just falls. And it's cute. It's great. He might be the one who talks about ARMY the most, and gets the most out of his relationship with fans. He's often thinking about the well-being of those in his group, and he has a wellspring of empathy. Every time he dances, he's poppin'. Watch any of their music videos, watch all of the others, and then just look at Jimin. It's just like, you can see in his eyes, there's this intensity. And he comes from a background of like deep modern dance. So you just know that he appreciates the difficulty of dance. And every time he sings a note, even when he's playing, you can find on YouTube vocal coaches just being blown away. Like when he's knocking on an elevator door and he's just like, na 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 na. Vocal coaches were just like, wow, oh my gosh. So this voice and his personality seem to require protection or call for protection, because sometimes people describe his voice sort of as like infant-like or like very youthful. But then he comes out with this other side that could beat us all up, you know, either with his fists or with his eyeballs when he looks at you and you just die right there, okay? Jimin has also been through some shit, okay? So for a while, he was very self-conscious about his body and would go to extreme lengths to stay skinny. I don't know what he's doing now, but one video from, I think, some Korean media channel said that he is so dedicated to perfection that he has the virtue of only sleeping 3 hours a night. Now, I love Jimin, you can tell, and want him to be well, and 3 hours of sleep for how much he works isn't healthy, and perfectionism to the point of dysmorphia or self-loathing is not a virtue. I say this with deep love for him, okay? And also not knowing what he's feeling about himself now. He said he had some profound experiences during the Love Yourself tour, and I think he might be doing better, but I just wanted to point out that although Jimin seems so perfect, that perfection isn't always the best for a person's well-being in general. These stories, these experiences make Jimin human, though. He can seem like a man from the stars. Like, celebrities now, to me, can seem sort of like the current Roman gods, and I can just see it like having a statue of Jimin outside my house, and then I just like give it an offering every day. But he's human. And these difficulties can help us remember that and sort of connect with him deeper. Also, in regards to inspiring me specifically, nobody's surprised, but he's the one that I sort of fixate on to write to lately. It's sometimes helpful to be thinking of an audience when creating for anybody. And I also give myself a little challenge of seeing if I can widen my own creativity to be able to talk about my support and admiration and hope for him in a way that maybe he's never heard before. And he's heard a lot. So that's just fun. I used to kind of have a bad reputation because I'd write about my crushes. But right now, I get inspired maybe like, I don't know, like twice a year for a couple weeks. So I'm just gonna write it out. I'm just gonna keep going on this path for as long as I can, and lean into it. Okay. So those are some of the ways that the men of BTS are inspiring to me. Of course, there's always more, but we'll leave it at that for today. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad I didn't cry whenever I talk about BTS lately. I've just like cried. So I'm glad that I was able to just like hold that in for a minute. Let me know what you think. Who's inspiring to you? Who's the most inspiring to you? Why? You want to send me your videos about why you love them so much? Hit me up. I'd love to see it, love to hear it. And I'll see y'all later.